Welcome! This video will go over some of the basics of MLA 8. MLA stands for Modern Language Association, a professional organization that creates the MLA style rules. MLA is the citation and formatting style that scholars and academics, usually in English and the humanities, use to write papers, articles, books, and more. In order to succeed in college, you will need to learn at least one formatting style. These styles will help you create well-organized papers that are easier for your reader to understand, who will usually be your teacher who will be grading your paper, and help you avoid plagiarism. So, how is MLA 8 different from previous versions of MLA? The new version of MLA is more flexible, but it also requires more critical thinking about the source you are citing. There are 9 core elements to MLA: author, title of source, title of container, contributors, version, number, publisher, publication date, and finally, location. We are going to go through each core element with examples. First, the author. The author is the person or group primarily responsible for the work. Always start with the first author's last name. When a source has 2 authors, include them in the order in which they are presented in the work. Note that the second author, you start with their first name and then their last. If a source has 3 or more authors, list the first author and follow it with a comma and et al. This means and others. If a person or group responsible for creating the work are something other than an author, include their name with a label that describes their role. Next is the title of the source. If there is a subtitle, include it after the main title. If the source is self-contained, like a book or movie, it will be italicized. Italicizing makes it easier for your reader to distinguish different parts of your citation. Remember, making things easier for your reader means they will be happier and more likely to give you a good grade. If the source is part of a larger work, poems, essays, chapters and books, web pages on a website, blog post, article, etc., then the title will be in quotation marks. Then include the title of the container. Now we are looking at title of container. If your source is part of a larger whole, you will need to include the title of the container. So examples would be a book that is a collection of stories, poems, essays, or other kinds of work. A periodical, so like a journal, magazine, or newspaper. A television series, a website, or a database. The title of the container would be italicized. Remember, a container can be a part of another container. For example, you could watch an episode of Orange is the New Black on Netflix. Documenting containers has become more important as work moves into online formats. One copy of a work may be different from other copies. Now we are going to look at contributors. Besides the author, there may be other people who contributed to a work. Common ones include edited by, directed by, illustrated by, translated by, narrated by, or performance by. Next, you may need to include the version of the work you are using. Note, you may not always have to include this step. You only need to include the version if there are other versions of your source. Now, you may need to include a sequence number. If the source is part of a numbered sequence, such as journal articles, volumes of books, comic books, television episodes, include the sequence number. Next, include the publisher. This is the organization primarily responsible for producing the source or making it available for the public. For books, look at the title page of the publisher. If it's not listed, look at the copyright page. For websites, look at the organization responsible for the site. For TV or movie, look at the production company. Almost there. Now we include the publication date. For some sources, this will be the end of your citation. If there's more than one publication date, cite the one that is most relevant to your source. So typically, it would be the most recent date for books, And for internet videos, it'll be their creation date. Finally, include the location of the source. For web sources, this will be the web link, also called URL. For print sources, you may need to include the page number or range of page numbers. This will only be if you're using a section of a book or an article in a journal or magazine. And congratulations, you're done!